Hello, Grey Couch family. This is Stanley
It's Tito.
and we are coming to you live from the couch, and we have some August guests in February. They're going to introduce themselves in a minute. These are the Adesiyans, and we go
way back.
Way back. Let me let them jump in and introduce themselves.
Okay, so you go first.
Okay, so my name is Adesiyans, and I'm a medical doctor. Yeah.
And I am Adedayo, and I am a pharmacist, and also Adesiyans' husband. And her lover boy extraordinaire. So
wow, I like that. I like that. So before we jump in, how long have you guys known each other, and how long have you been married?
Okay, so we've been married now. By November we have been married 20 years.
Yeah,
20 so that's 19 years plus.
Yeah.
But I've known this fine bobo for 28 years.
Wow.
So I met him in 100 level. Now 100 level in the university. So yeah.
Yeah, and like I always say, it was like I could snatch her, because
I could snatch you, like I said.
Because she was still, the puberty years and everything. So I met her where we were going for registration around the admissions area. And a friend of mine who was my friend in primary school introduced her to me. And she just looked at me as one of those, ISI boys. All we boys that people were beefing that came from ISI, we ISI people.
He still had pimples on his face when I met him, so I don't know who pretty snatched to.
Those pimples were my they were my status symbol. Don't mind her.
I know. So for those listening, ISI is the international school in Ibadan. Yeah.
So that gives the viewers a hint of where we met. So, all right, you've already started telling us a little bit about yourselves, where you met. And we'll jump in. The areas that you guys spoke about was communication, Big C, coins, money and finances, parenting, role of faith, and love languages. So we want to start with communication. And it's been said that communication doesn't end with when you speak, but when the other person understands the meaning you're trying to convey. In your 20/28 years, because you have to give credit where credit is due.
Yeah.
How has that affected your marriage, and what are the biggest lessons that you have for us
in terms of communication?
Yeah. So
good question, and I like the part where you asked who is the introvert and who is the extrovert, and also where you said, does that dynamic hold publicly and privately? Yeah, because for us it's we're kind of like really very strange. Now, on the face of things, I would call her the extrovert, and then the extrovert, and then I would be the introvert. But I found out that for me, I'm somewhere actually in between. And I think that, so that holds both publicly and privately. For her, she's extrovertic publicly, particularly in terms of we want to work, we want to get things done, we have a goal, she's leading a team and all of that. She will now explain to you the fact that publicly she's an introvert, So it kind of like is just somewhere there in the middle for both of us. So I'm the one that will not only know you because we are professional friends or something like that. I also somehow, and not like I solicit for it, but we get to be closer. I'm the one that wants to make the friends. I'm the ones that she would end on, okay, so we are in a team, we're doctors, end of discussion. I don't want to know anything beyond that. But if you sit me down deliberately and intentionally to open up your life, I'm there for you. Maybe you should take it from there.
Yeah, really, I thrive in my workplace. So I can do anything. I can go all out. I can be your friend. But I don't want to be in your business if you do not ask me to be. I don't seek to be in your business. So some people make me out to be snobbish because of that. If you meet me outside of my workplace, you might think I'm an introvert. I don't want to be in anybody's business. But if you take the extra mile to try and understand me, then you will see the other aspect. So yes, my husband is that is out there. He's in people's business. Well, not that he wants to be. But I always wonder, how can you get into all this? Then he's telling me, do you know this is happening? I mean, on my streets, I've been living here for almost 10 years. And there are times that I don't know who my neighbor is.
So I'm the area father.
So
area, how would I know my area?
The funny thing is, Dio will not tell you anything personal, but I'm that kind of person. I can get into that personal thing with you easily, but Dio doesn't. But he will be there for you. He will do all that, but you don't know anything about his business. So it's a funny thing.
Yeah. Really. So what I've learned about communication, and I want to get really practical. So when it comes to communication that has to do with dispute resolution, somebody is offended, somebody is angry, I have learned to not speak at the time when you are angry or the other person is angry. I've been able to develop a threshold of patience to a certain extent. I still fall and I still falter. You will still catch me unawares sometimes, depending on the extant pressures that come. But just don't speak then. Think about what you want to say. And then I'm the kind of guy that is find the proper time. Find the appropriate time and period to say so that you're actually speaking the truth in love. The truth can be brutal, like people say, you can be frank with it, but you want to still speak the truth in love, because what you want is a change, not to necessarily condemn the person. And I found out that a lot of things we say out of anger is a sign of fear, and it's because you don't just want to be vulnerable at that point in time, so you say things you might not be able to take back. Then again, I've also learned to be very observant about non-verbal communication, the moods, the unsaid things, the word behind the word. When we got married at first, we were driving, and then my wife is saying, "Oh, look at those oranges, they really look nice. Look at those mangoes, they look good. Look, that thing there, it really looks." So for a long while, I just tried to say, "Oh yeah, they look good. They look nice. They are juicy and all that." Do you know what? I learned later that it meant, please park near the place and let's speak some. That she actually wants to buy it. Come on, just tell me you want to buy it. Then, you know what I took upon myself? When we are driving, when I myself see something, don't you think we should even stop and buy that thing? I just make it plain and make it clear. So, I mean, there are dynamics I've had to learn. And, also make sure that when you communicate understanding. The person truly understands. So clarify things. Don't think that yesterday's revelation will carry you for today. And here's what I really mean. So we had agreed that this is what we should do yesterday or 2 years ago. Is it still the same? People evolve. She has been evolving. I have been evolving. So let's keep on clarifying, so that there won't be, and then talk at every time and about everything. I mean, send messages during the day, talk about Nigeria, talk about ourselves, just keep on talking, whether it really makes sense or not. I think that's,
So I just wanted to add, for us women, when there's a burning issue, you feel you just must talk about it at that time. So I've learned to not talk about it when it's a burning issue, and just look for, because it never achieves anything that will be progressive for your relationship. So I've learned to just keep quiet, ruminate over it, think about it, pray about it, listen to what the Spirit of God is helping me to, really assess the situation. A good example is, something happened recently. My husband likes to pick up my jotters, and in those jotters I might have put so many important details, and I put them near our bed, the lampstand by our bed, and I just noticed that, okay, he had a whiff of inspiration for a message, and then he picks up a jotter where I write my expenses and different things that I might not remember. And I just saw it with him downstairs, and I was like, why this one? There's so many other jotters. So you know what? I just remember this is not the time. He's eating. He's been out all day to talk about it. So I just let it be and just let it go. So later on, just before we started talking about this, our sit down with you, he just brought it. I brought it up again, and so we had a good discussion and learned to process your feelings appropriately. Put them. Don't just blurt it out when you haven't really sorted it out inside yourself to really know what is the issue. So my issue was, why don't you just give me my own space? I know we are married, yeah, but I need my own space, right? So I was able to bring that out and tell him that, please, I will put some other jotters there for you, and then you can do whatever you want with them.
It was in a flash of inspiration. I didn't want to forget those things. Like they say, you write on toilet roll now. Hit songs, you write on toilet roll. Books, that kind of thing.
I feel you, my brother. Don't say anything. Just keep quiet.
Something. Communication.
Okay. All right.
Okay, I feel you. I always tell him that you take up a lot of space. Like when you leave things here, before you know it,
encroached.
It's for the love.
Exactly.
But something that I'm teasing out from what you guys are saying, and it's something I've been working with. It says that reactivity, and when somebody does something and you react as opposed to response, breeds reactivity. As in, I'm just going to react. But from what you guys are saying, it sounds like you have a stimuli, you pause or think, process before you respond. Leading to responsibility, as it were. And I mean that is a huge nugget. And there'll be less fights that way, as in, okay, I have the stimuli, but before I react to it, let me internalize, process what is really going on before I now have a response, as opposed to just knee-jerk reaction.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
All right, my next question, in the same line. Who is quicker to apologize? And what do you feel a sincere apology looks like?
Okay, I think I should take this.
Yeah.
So when we first got married, I never heard my husband say sorry. He just, generally anybody that knows that he's a very easygoing person. He would not want to offend you. But you see, everybody is human, and there were times he just, like we would always say that he just messed up. What's that term we used to use?
Jerk.
I was just a jerk, really. So, but then I would notice that he would now, if I make a complaint and I say, okay, I don't like it, he would begin to do the right thing. But he would not like to say the words, I am sorry.
But those 4-letter words, SORRY.
So but the funny thing is, you would never catch him doing those things. As much as lies within his power, he would make the readjustment. I give that to him. But the opposite was, I would easily say, okay, I'm sorry. But I would not remember to do what he said.
So which one is better?
So I think, like the Bible says, somebody goes away saying, I will do it, but they do not do it. While the second person says, no, I'm not going, but they eventually go ahead and do it. So I'm trying to also learn how to respect his feelings, because if you really respect people's feelings, you remember not to do what they say they don't like, So he's learning. Do you say sorry now?
Okay, I said bele. At least I said bele. I said in our language, our local language, Yoruba, bele. Is that not sorry?
Oh, yeah. It's okay. As long as it does what I want, it's fine by me.
I love it.
Wow.
I read somewhere that the changed behavior is the true sign of the apology, right? I'm sorry, just the gateway, but when you change the behavior or whatever it is, then that is the true apology. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
But isn't it nice to still hear "I'm sorry"? Don't we all want to hear that?
Okay, so what do you think about the "I'm sorry" debate in English, in the English language? Because that's very important. Because it looks like Yoruba is not cutting it. The local language.
Because really, I think sometimes you're just too proud to just say "I am sorry."
Okay. Yeah, that might be true sometimes, and then sometimes it's a function of, look, maybe I've done this thing so many times that you want me to be saying I'm sorry. Let me just act it out and show how sorry I am.
Yeah. It goes both ways. I feel like it's good to say I'm sorry, but honestly, if the person changes that behavior, right? I feel like, and I tell people, I said, you have to look for the signs of the repentance, right? Look for what you need, as opposed to just the words "I'm sorry." Because, like you were saying, okay, if you keep saying "I'm sorry" and you don't do anything about it, then at some point, even the "I'm sorry" loses its value.
You're right.
Okay. So we're going to move on to money and finances, and we know this area can be a source of concern both for men and women alike. And so the question is, what advice do you wish after 20 years now?
28. I'm going to keep looking at 8 extra.
Okay.
What advice do you wish someone had given you about money and finances going into marriage? And what have you, I guess, gleaned, right, over the years of being in relationship?
Yeah, I would begin by saying that, and this might shock a lot of people, that what I've found out is that as important as finances might be to a marriage, it is still not the most important factor. I know that it can be a cause of strain. I know it can be a cause of people going their separate ways or disconnecting emotionally and all of that. But it is still, because you see, it is still a third party. Whichever way we want to look at it, it is a third party. And the two people are who really matters, their communication, their connection. So, but be that as it may, I would have really loved, when we started off, that I had a financial mentor. And this is really what I mean, that somebody or people, as the case might be, who would be vulnerable, who would be transparent, who would openly have told us how to manage finances in marriage, particularly in the investment and multiplying money side. I had to pick all of those things by trial and error, make mistakes, and then jump up. But somebody who could have actually said that, you know what, this is how you can actually multiply money. This is how you can, you give somebody $100 and the output he comes out with will be more than another person who has the same $100, all by guidance, all by wisdom. So these are things that I had to pick. We are in a society where people tend to hide their pathway to success. They tend to look at it as a means of continually being superior for some reason I can't really understand. Because I believe that if we are all successful together, the better for the society. But so you need to pinch them. Okay, how did you do this? There was a time that in Nigeria, when we were living in our first house, banks were even begging people for loans. And I had just started my work in drug field pharmaceuticals then as a rep and all of that. I just needed somebody who would be able to say, look, with your full chest, go and take a loan. I would have been able to buy a house in the estates back then that I was living, because they were literally begging people. We had this, there are times of bubble and burst and all of that. But we had these times that banks were saying, particularly when we had a consolidation that happened, and they were saying, come and take loans for just about anything. I wasn't going to take a consumption loan, but something for a house that could have been used for investment and all of that. I just didn't have the heart to do it.
And I didn't encourage you. I was scared too.
And she was scared too, So we lost out on that period. And those are some of the things that I wish I had early enough. Somebody who would be able to say, this was how we did it. This was how we were able to manage our finances.
Yes. So I'll just chip in the other aspect, that early enough recognize who the more financially prudent in the relationship is. So I know how to save. I learned it anyway, save, invest. I can save for Africa. I know how to save. But my husband he's not frivolous with spending, but he loves a good life. So he's the type that, money comes in, he does a good business, and then, we just go and buy this and buy that. And I'm like, do you know when the next business is coming in? You need to put this away. So, you need to harness each other's strengths in financial issues, and not see him as, because he's a spendthrift. Okay, if he was the other way around, then starts to stifle my own things, So you need to understand, harness each other's strength in the area of finances without making the other person feel like they are inadequate, or they don't know what they're doing, or they are just frivolous with spending. So make those decisions together on what you have to do. So what he eventually started doing was, he would transfer. We don't have a joint account. We've never run a joint account, but nobody is responsible for this or that. When the money comes in, we use it for, it's joint. We do everything as the money comes in. So when he has money to save, he just dumps it, transfers it to my account, and say, you know what, just keep it. And then when the bills come, we decide on how that is going to be done. I give him my ATM cards. If there are things that need to be done and the money is in my account, he knows the pins. So there's no hiding. Everybody knows exactly how the finances are coming in and what is in, and we agree on how it's going to be spent. Yeah.
I see you people running a financial management class for couple.
Well, I think 28 years was count for something.
Yeah, because the fundamental thing that I'm hearing both of you here is trust, right? Like you are trusting the other person that they'll take care of things as at when. Because again, some people will say, should we run a joint account? Should we not? But I'm hearing from you people that that's not the essence of this, right? The essence is pulling the resources together, no matter how you do it, right? So yeah, thanks for that.
But I learned that in this, since we're talking about bank accounts, the trust account is in the green and overflowing. That's your trust account. And I don't mean, there's a high level of trust. There's something that you said about that money not being it. I don't know who was, don't be a third party, but I don't know who was talking to us, how whenever couples fight about money, it's really not about money.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's really not about money. There's something else going on. Money is just the external or the last straw that is cracking it up. But when they fight, and it deals that there's a low level of trust. Good stuff.
Exactly. So, sorry, can I just chip in something? Now, that didn't come easy, right?
Yeah.
Because, me talking now, I don't want people to go away with the impression that I've always been so nice. I was particular. Okay, let me just say this. When we got married just before I finished NYSC, and that's the National Youth Service Commission, compulsory service to the nation in Nigeria. So as a doctor, we were earning, as doctors, we earned much higher than other people. So I came home after our wedding with quite some money. And when I came back, and this was just about within 6 months of us getting married. So we sat down one night, and I was planning with the money I had just come back with, and I was like, seriously? Why are you planning with my money? This is my money, not your money.
Not our money.
I suffered for it. What are you talking about? And that was the first argument we would have. And you know what? He just said, you know what? I can't do this. And he just went out of the house. And I came to myself and I said, oh my God, this was what my mother did, and I promised I would never do. I said I would never nag my husband, and I went down on my knees and I said, God, please, if you can bring him back, I will never do this again. I will never do this again. So he now came back inside, and I just knelt down before you and I said, I'm sorry, I don't know what came over me. But a lot of us bring baggages from what we saw in our parents, and somehow you didn't like it, but you just see yourself displaying the same thing. Because what was going through my mind is, I remember my father used to say, whatever is your own, to my mom anyway, is mine. I own you. And I said, never will any man tell me that kind of thing. So, and another thing that Dio did, I think after that time, was he would never ask me what is in your account or what are you earning. But he never expected me to pay for anything. He never said, okay for this. But with time, he allowed me to trust him to use the finances appropriately. He would also ask for my opinion. He would never take any decision concerning finances without consulting with me, no matter how small it was. And if I said, oh, take the ATM, he would say, how much do you want me to take from there? What do you want me to do? So it came to a place where I knew it wasn't about, oh, he wanted to use my money or I couldn't trust him. And whenever the monies came in from his own end, there was no controversy about how to use it. He let it go. It wasn't any issue at all. So yes, he would not now try to hide it. I knew exactly what came in, how it came in, and we would decide together how it was going to be dispersed. So nobody is uptight, because really, I have to tell you, that's something that I had to develop over a period of time because of experiences, the society, how things would be. And obviously, being a doctor in Nigeria, I earned more than he did. So it was a thing of, okay, you know, the traditional beliefs of the man brings in everything,
societal beliefs,
you know, the man, the roles in the home. And that's another thing. There's nothing in our own home like the man does this or the woman does that. We do everything together. Everything. Except, of course, any issue about cars or electricals.
So we had time that you had to eat on the table. Everybody, the whole family comes to the table. Meals are prepared. They are set. If you want to talk about issues, you would choose specific times to do so. You can't just be spontaneous and just bring up, you know, some issues. We also had this thing about so we were 5 boys in my family. I was the first. If I did something wrong, they wouldn't talk to me about what I did wrong in front of my siblings, you know, and it went on down and down like that, you know. So that was the kind of family we had, very structured. So when it's time to play, go and play. When it's time to come in. When it's time to do your work and all of that, you know, that's how we were brought up. And I now go ahead and I met someone who, as they are entering their house, they can just about say anything. I was shocked. It was a cultural shock for me.